you do that. And then when you go to jump, whenever you scroll, you're basically scrolling with a flick of a scroll. We've done, calculations and some testing and stuff. And we see that, people normally scroll like 5, 6+ signals in a burst when they go to scroll. And the time delay latency between the first signal and second is like sub 15, sub 10 milliseconds. So it's very much negligible. So it's pretty simple. Tournament scroll just filters that first signal if you have it enabled. So if you accidentally fall off a step, it's going to catch that. But anything after that, it's going to take as a regular input. And the most important thing is there's a pass-through window. So after the very first scroll, the filter stops. It's not active anymore until you go through the period of time of the pass-through window without using your scroll wheel again. So let's say you're bunny hopping and you want timings to be perfect. You don't need like a 10 millisecond timing discrepancy. That's not going to happen because of the pass-through window. And the pass-through window you can set. So you can have it at 1500 milliseconds currently is the max, and 100 milliseconds. So 1500 milliseconds is like, it's 1.5 seconds, right? So if you're doing like, big strafing, like air bunny hops or jumps in Counter-Strike, for example, that's plenty of time for you to not scroll and then scroll again when you want to land. And it's still going to be resetting that pass-through window. So it's not going to affect your bunny hopping timing for that whole period of time. And same if you're scrolling web pages and stuff like that, which I'll get into that in a second. And then the lower settings, that's going to be more aggressive. So like, let's say you're playing a game. I'm actually going to change the example because a lot of TAC FPS games, the jump timer from you jumping and landing is like a second or so anyways. So really the lower setting is for situations where you want to just stop a reverse input altogether. A good example would be if you're playing like an MMO game or a game where you have an ability bound to scroll wheel down and scroll wheel up. And let's say you're scrolling down and your up ability could just be accidentally activated immediately. And there's you don't want any kind of pass-through window. So that's where you would set it on 100 milliseconds pass-through time. So you're basically having constant active filtering. The only downside there really is that, if you are bunny hopping or something, you're going to be having that like kind of 10 millisecond timing difference, which actually we found doesn't negatively impact it at all. But if it's something you care about, just set it at a higher amount. If not, then you can set it at the lower amount for, maximum protection. And that's basically it. I don't know, Maxime, did I cover tournament scroll?
Yeah, I think you explained it pretty well. It's basically kind of an insurance policy. You're using it. You shouldn't feel when it's enabled or not when you're using it for jump scroll or anything like that. But when you have that accidental scroll wheel falling into its notch, into its place, then you're going to be really happy that you had it enabled. So it should be pretty transparent.
And that's the feedback we got basically from people is it's kind of just a really good psychological kind of confidence booster, just knowing that you can bunny hop in the most intense situations, you can jump, and you're never going to have a clutch round or moment where you accidentally jump and you limbo jump off of because you landed in between the encoder steps. So, that's tournament scroll. You guys can try it out yourself. Once you upgrade the firmware, the Xpanel page should be live. Play around with it. You'll definitely notice it. If you're scrolling web pages, that's where you'll really notice the filtering, because when you're scrolling web pages, you're usually going one signal at a time. So, that could be a little irritating if you don't have the pass-through window higher, but that's why we gave the option to just quickly disable it, enable it. If you want to go into a intense competitive match, or you got, an important game, turn it on. If you're just browsing the web for the week and you're not really playing intense games, or you're playing Minecraft or something, then obviously keep it disabled. But yeah, it's kind of all up to how you guys want to do it. So,
or when you're in class, of course, like Eric.
yeah, Eric's over here. He's I don't know, he's in high school, he's in middle school, he's in geography class. I don't know what's happening, but
Eric, turn off your tournament scroll right now.
So, but yeah, that's tournament scroll. And Maxime, do you want to get into just some of the improvements on the 8K firmware, and then after that we can dive into some Centerpiece and Mousepad teasers for everybody, because I know everybody's just here for Centerpiece news. I don't think people even care about the mice anymore. Everybody's just wanting Centerpiece.
I'll make it brief. We certainly took our time to really finesse this 8K firmware release, and it's been in beta for a long time. Some people have tried the beta. We're really confident in releasing this 8K firmware right now. It's our default firmware. It's live on Xpanel right now, and we're pretty confident we can say this is one of the best 8K implementations out there. So it's not just us saying that. You can check with different reviewers. The polling of the sensor is super stable. You're gonna get the best 8K results with our mice. You can compare it to any other 8K implementation. I'm pretty confident you'll enjoy it.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean 8K. I mean, I'll be honest. Like 8K is definitely not a thing I've ever been a big supporter of. You know, like I think 8K with current frame rates, current FPS you're getting in game. I think there's a big placebo factor to 8K. It's that I'm not gonna change my opinions on that. Some people are gonna disagree. Some people are gonna agree. But the really cool thing with the 8K firmware, it's not just that the 8K polling rate setting is really dialed in. It's dialed in across the board on all polling rates. So like Absolutely. The channel hopping, the RF code at 1K, 2K, 4K, all of these are just, pristine right now. I mean, this firmware release has been tested kind of in parallel behind the scenes for like 2 years at this point. So
yeah, even if you're not actually using 8K, it's still worth upgrading your firmware. You're gonna get better results in all the other polling rates. You'll see that also our click latency improved across the board. So all polling rates are actually improved. Polling stability is better on all polling rates. So definitely worth upgrading even if you're not using the 8K setting, which you have to decide for yourself if it's worth the hype or not. For us, it's also a testament to the technology that we're trying to push as far as possible. And then, of course, how much the real benefit is when you're playing a game depends on your system, depends on your game, depends on your skill. We'll leave that up to you guys, but the upgrade is going to be good.
Maxime, tell them a little something of how you cooked up the 1K and 2K and 4K to be even faster, because the latency got faster. This is going to go over everybody's heads, including me, but like how did you reduce it by like 100 microseconds or whatever? What were some of the optimizations?
So there's a lot of stuff going into this wireless protocol. It's basically the hardest part of a wireless gaming mouse. Sensor implementation is a big part too, but obviously the wireless part is where it's at. And what we've been doing is constantly looking for ways to improve the way the dongle and the mouse are communicating wirelessly, and the kind of packets that are being sent between those, when these packets need to be acknowledged by the dongle, when they don't need to be acknowledged, trying different packet types. And what we did is basically squeeze those packets to be as small as possible while not giving up any functionality. So we have a very in-depth, very broad way to recover lost data. So wireless transmissions aren't going to be perfect. There's going to be interference. You're going to get lost packets, and we're basically recovering lost data with different tricks we're implementing, and we didn't want to give up any of that. So we still squeeze those packets as small as possible, which is also really good for battery life. And that's basically how, for 8K, we had to make all of this super, super fast and super short wireless transmissions. and that benefited all the other polling rates as well, because we didn't optimize just the 8K setting, but all of them while doing this. That's why the benefits are not only on the 8K. You'll also see that our 8K implementation, of course, battery life isn't going to be great because you're sending 8,000 packets a second, but it's still going to be pretty okay, and I'm sure a lot better than a lot of the competitors' 8K implementations.
Yeah, I mean it's the best firmware out there. That's really ultimately what it comes down to. I think everybody wants us to stop talking about mice. What do you guys think? I feel like everybody wants to hear about Centerpiece, which is actually what Maxime is basically working on full time since this since the ULX competition firmware is finished and stable. How many people here do you think are just waiting on Centerpiece news? I think probably everybody.
That's what it seems like.
All right. So we got some big, so there's a lot of things that have been happening behind the scenes with Centerpiece. I mean, let me just put it this way. It's our most ambitious thing ever. I think it's the most ambitious peripheral product probably of all time in PC gaming. We've had to scrap basically the original design because we've just come up with new things that we wanted to implement, and it's there's been a lot of pivots. So I think it's been like 4 years plus now that we're working on Centerpiece. What you guys saw during the first Centerpiece reveal was basically the first path and the first trajectory we took down with Centerpiece. And when we were going down that development route, kind of in the middle of it, honestly, is when Hall effect and analog keyboards, thanks to the trends put out by Wu-Ting, and now obviously lots of the other people putting out Hall effect, and even SteelSeries, they first had one. That really started kicking into gear kind of early, halfway into our Centerpiece development. So as a company, obviously, we're super performance oriented. Like everything we do is about performance. And when we first kicked off Centerpiece, it was actually the mindset was more like in the mechanical keyboard kind of enthusiast hobbyist realm, like the people that are replacing keycaps and designing their keys and collecting the coolest cases, right? Like that was what was hot in 2019. And I didn't know much about keyboards. When I went into keyboards around that time, that's what I saw. It was people were telling me, oh, this case is good, this, that. So we went in wanting to develop just the most premium aesthetic, centerpiece for your setup. Something where you could put wallpapers and have it match your vibe, your actual desktop wallpaper, something that just would completely destroy any custom cool case with custom keycaps and whatnot. It was an aesthetic kind of flex product, right? And it was cool. Obviously, all you guys were hyped on it. But I think since that time, a lot of time passed in R&D, and Hall effect and analog became way more important. And kind of basically one day during an engineering brainstorming session, we kind of had a light bulb idea on something. Not going to say what it is yet. You guys will see soon. But some crazy innovations started just popping out left and right, like one of those magical days where just the most ingenious things are coming out of the brainstorming sessions. And we were faced with a choice, basically. Do we continue and push development on Centerpiece, put this thing out in an era where Hall effect and analog is basically super necessary for performance, and basically launch a product that wasn't performance oriented, especially when we essentially were sitting on some of these crazy innovations that we had that could bring that Hall effect to the Centerpiece in a way that you can't even imagine. So we decided basically to stop the original Centerpiece, rename it the product Centerpiece Pro. So that's what it's going to be now, Centerpiece Pro. All Founders Edition, all people with access codes. It's all still going to give you early access, but now only to Centerpiece Pro. Centerpiece Pro doesn't use switches. It doesn't even use Hall effect switches. It doesn't use magnetic levitation. It doesn't use anything that you know about. We literally invented a new way for a mechanical keyboard to work and utilize analog technology. So it's completely different. We've got literally a few patents already lined up for it. It's going to blow your minds. The keyboard doesn't have switches, so just remember that. So that means it's doing Centerpiece better than Centerpiece even did. So the Centerpiece, the aesthetic keyboard that's cool with the visuals, Centerpiece Pro gives you a better view of the visuals. It gives you a better view of the display. You're going to be able to get even cooler wallpapers. It's going to look even more amazing the way it's shining through the keyboard. And on top of this, you're going to be getting analog performance that's literally better than anything out there. 0.1 millimeter accuracy, rapid trigger, 8K, anything you want really when you think analog. It's all going to be there. But it's now there together with what Centerpiece originally did. And we're really lucky that we were able to kind of marry what the original Centerpiece had and where the world was going in the performance market. So I think now we're very confident in it, and we've been on this path, and Centerpiece Pro is projected to, it's actually finishing all early development. It's now going into the beginning stages of mass production. We're going to be releasing a reveal date very soon. Obviously, I've been telling people this holidays, that's still basically on the table. So, keep an eye out because it's going to be happening pretty soon. The price point hasn't changed. It's still going to be $349. No increase in price, and you're still getting all the new Centerpiece Pro tech. You're going to be getting all the analog. It's going to be doing what Centerpiece did, but even better. And it's going to be doing some other things as well. Like just to give you a little sneak peek, you won't need a Stream Deck on your table anymore. You won't need a lot of things. Your Centerpiece, you're going to be basically typing on an analog performance keyboard with part of your keyboard able to show like what song you're listening to in Spotify, and just crazy overlays within overlays, and obviously the crazy cool video wallpapers, interactive wallpapers. The GPU is still rendering all of these cool visuals. So it's doing what Centerpiece did plus more at the same price. I would say, the only thing that we've kind of had to take some kind of a cost compromise on is the aluminum case. Obviously, we have a lot of this new tech in here. There's a lot of magnets going into this thing. There's a lot of crazy tech. And we decided not to do the engraved aluminum case for several reasons. One, I think it fit the original Centerpiece vibe a little more aesthetically in terms of what it was. It was more of a showcase flex product, whereas Centerpiece Pro, it's performance, it's function. It's more like a ULX competition, and we wanted that to be able to match on your setup when you get the keyboard and the mouse and everything together. So that's where Centerpiece Pro is at. We're very, very close. Hold on to your codes. Mizu's here. Late as usual. But yeah, that's Centerpiece Pro, and we're hoping to have a 10th anniversary Final Con where we launch it there at the same time. It's a delicate balancing act right now. We're trying to push development as fast as possible without sacrificing quality, but also getting something really cool around the holiday season. So that's where that's at. And then another epic thing that we have coming is the third product category, which is the Mousepad. As many of you guys know, it's like we haven't had a Mousepad forever, ever, right? Like we've never wanted to just put out some Mousepad that's just the Mousepad is the same as everything else. And the community's always talked in depth. I know a lot of you guys are passionate about Mousepads. And we never wanted to do a Mousepad that wasn't game-changing and innovative. And we've talked, over and over as a community on like what we can do with Mousepads. I know you guys have always talked in Discord about ideas and things. And basically a decade has gone by where, we just didn't know what do you do in Mousepads. Once again, really lucky. Apparently 2024 was just like light bulb year. We figured out what we want to do with mouse pads. That's coming very, very soon, potentially sooner than Centerpiece Pro. So this is, literally in the very, very near future. We'll be launching and announcing that on social media. You guys are going to be very, very happy about the mouse pad. It's I think it's the only innovative game-changing thing that's happened in mouse pads since really ever. I guess the last thing was, Artisan was using the pour-on bases and really upping the quality. Glass mouse pads, right? I think this is definitely the biggest jump, and it's going to look really, really cool on a desk next to a Centerpiece. So that's kind of what we have cooking right now. And ULX competition is launching to order on the 21st coming up here. And after that, hopefully, more competition colorways. And I think that's basically everything we got. That's the full suite. Once we get that, it's we're gonna have to think of some crazy other ideas, because you'll have the keyboard, mouse pad, and mouse set up, and you'll be Finalmouse gaming. So cool, exciting stuff. Mizu, what did you think of the reveal?
Let's second test. I couldn't watch it.
We're going to do well. Okay.
What?
We're taking tests right now.
Average going to be.
Mizu's apparently employed by Finalmouse as a customer support agent, but he's not even attentive. He's not online during the reveals.
I guess I'm fired. I don't know.
It's not a strong showing, Mizu. It's not a strong showing.
Microphone.
I'm on AirPods right now. I'm sorry.
I think the key thing is here, we probably shouldn't be scheduling stuff during school hours in the future. I think probably weekends or after school is the move. But yeah, that's all I had. Maxime, did you want to add anything about Xpanel or the firmware or ULX competition?
No, I think we touched all important points.
Nice. And yeah, when you guys, I'm going to be posting candid shots of the ULX competition. It actually looks way better in person. Black, very nuanced black products are hard to capture in studio photography, but it looks phenomenal just like with an iPhone in regular lighting. So we'll be posting plenty of candid shots of the ULX competition, because we think it's one of the better looking mice that we've done. When you get it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Maybe I can post something in Discord here soon. But when you see it, even though the bottom isn't carbon composite, even the plastic base, the Ultim base, the black Ultim, even that's raw. So you're seeing all the cool tooling polish across the bottom. All of that is raw. It's got a UV coating to give grip, kind of selectively applied. On the sides, that's where you're going to have the most grip, but you don't see the coating. You're still seeing through to the carbon composite. It doesn't look like a forged carbon or like any kind of gimmicky forged carbon. It's, this is, as you saw in the making of video, we chop this carbon fiber here in the US before we ship it overseas to the factory. It's used in military applications. It's a very, very low density composite. The matrix that's used in it is very sophisticated. So it doesn't look like forged. It looks more like you see the carbon strands kind of flowing through the material, and it's more prevalent in light, when you're hitting it with a lot of light, and you're just going to see the flow lines of where the carbon is meeting with the carbon as it was molding the product. You're going to see the engravings are all shiny and glossy, not because we painted it glossy, but just because the tool is polished along the engraving so that it can come out the injection easier. So like that's how the tool is polished and how the tool is kept. So you're going to see kind of all the little nuances and eccentricities in the ULX competition chassis. Every little mark and detail and fiber flowing through it. It looks very sophisticated. It's probably our most sophisticated mouse. I think after this, we're probably going to go the complete opposite direction and launch like a pink bunny mouse or like some kind of Pokemon colors after this, because this is incredibly like refined in terms of its look. So if you guys are kind of stealth fans and want an elegant setup, this is definitely the colorway for those people. If you like colorful stuff, this is not your mouse. Wait for the pink bunny mouse. But for everybody else, this is it's going to be looking pretty sweet. It's actually much darker than the official studio image we posted here. It's like a much deeper black. But you guys will see soon enough. So yeah, I think that's everything. Don't want to drag this on too much. Stay tuned. We'll keep posting stuff up here till the 21st. More information on ULX competition, and keep chatting in Discord. Good stuff, guys.
Talk to you later.
See you, everybody.